Marvel is in a major malaise, and now theaters across the country are wondering if they can raise enough money to survive. The entire cinema industry is under fire, and the ire is now being aimed at the Walt Disney Company and what they did insanely to the MCU. Now, few may believe that the Russo brothers can come back and attack the failures, the flaws that Kevin Feige has caused. Can they save Marvel? Is it too late? And will it destroy movies? We'll tell you right now. Hello, folks. It is a dandy of a day right here, coming to you from somewhere sunny USA. The studio is empowered, and it's empowered by you. Folks, get ready to click that like button. And if you're not yet a subscriber of the channel, well, we would love to channel excellence and earn that subscription indeed. Folks, let's get started. We'll tell you what's going on with Marvel, the MCU, and why it may have more than just a few reasons for theater owners to freak out. We'll start it right now. The question now, folks, is, can movie theaters survive if the MCU cannot thrive? For the past 10 years, many of the movie theaters out there, AMC and more, they have survived because there were blockbusters that would open the floodgates, open the doors to tons and tons of fans who would come in, and then they could make it through the doldrums of all these artsy-fartsy award show fodder films because superheroes were there to save the day. With Marvel on the fritz, there may be a blitz of money not happening at theaters. Take a look at this. It's out of BGR.com by Andy Meek. It says, another spectacular Russo Brothers flop. Is it time to admit they need Marvel? Well, I'm here to tell you that's a reversal of what I would be wondering right now. The question should be is, can they actually come back and save Marvel? Because honestly, they're the last hope. Marvel is in such a malaise, and they have to save the day when it comes to the Avengers movies, and they're going to have to save it with Avengers that nobody cares about. Here's the article. It says, the Russo brothers, once hailed for their visionary work as the directors of Avengers Endgame, have been struggling ever since stepping outside the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Case in point, their latest Netflix movie, The Electric State, has landed with a thud, debuting to an abysmal 23% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. That makes it the lowest rated of their post-MCU projects. A streak that includes Cherry, The Gray Man, and Citadel, all of which failed to capture anything close to their past Marvel glory. At this point, it's fair to ask, should the Russos just stick to Marvel and its superheroes? Better question, did they get lucky with Marvel? Or maybe even a better question than that, is the mojo gone? Let's go here, superhero hype. I'm going to show you why it's going to be hard mode for the Russos. This is by, well, it doesn't have an author name on this. Darn it. Oh, there it is. It's by Anubhav Chaudhry. And it says, Avengers Doomsday directors on if Moon Knight or any Disney Plus heroes will appear. Briefly, Joe and Anthony Russo recently addressed rumors about Moon Knight and other Disney Plus Marvel characters in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. Anthony Russo did not confirm any names, but stressed their broad approach to the MCU storytelling. This fueled speculation about returning heroes and RDJ's role as Dr. Doom. Here's the story, folks. They're not confirming, but they're leaving the door open. And here's the problem. Here's the problem. Nobody cares. This is an article that's asking the question, but there's no audience reading this article and wondering and hoping and praying that it'll come true because none of this worked. Phase 4, 5, 6. None of it worked. None of these characters they tried to launch ever left the dock. Am I wrong, panel? Come on in and tell us. We'll get to the cinema aspect of this in a minute. But can the Russo brothers save Marvel at this point? What do you think?
I personally think the era of the comic book movie is going the way of the Western. We have squandered too much goodwill on nonsense and agenda, and people are moving on. They're way more discerning with how they're going to spend their money. These studios got very expectant, and now they got to pay a price for it. And the Russos have a big hole to climb out of. It's not of their making. I think the Russos are very creative. They've given us some really wonderful product. If you watch Community, some of Community's best episodes were brought to you by the Russos. They did a great job adapting Winter Soldier. But at the end of the day, Kevin Feige pooped the bed. He didn't have Favreau. He didn't have Whedon. And he didn't have the Russos to carry his water. And he put them in a big hole. and now he's looking for someone else to pull him out of it, and it may be too little, too late.
Yeah, I really do have. Oh, please.
No, go ahead.
I really do have doubts that even the Russo brothers can bring it back at this point. I mean, look at Daredevil right now. Daredevil should have been a slam dunk, right? I mean, Marvel Netflix's Daredevil, that was a very popular show. Everybody was really enthused about that series on Netflix when it was there. But then you put the same, very similar thing on Disney Plus. And now the word's gotten out. Yeah, anything that Disney does is not particularly well liked, especially if it's on Disney Plus. And now people withdraw completely and aren't even interested in that series, even though it's a continuation of what came before it. You know, I think this is going to really have a hard time here trying to set up the MCU and reestablish this franchise in a way that Disney believes it can be restored, because it's just. The goodwill's burnt, just like Kevin Apollo said. Now, what's interesting about the Russo brothers in particular is that I guess Robert Downey Jr. himself, his coming back was contingent on the fact that they get the Russos as well. So what? I think they opened up the money vault and gave them $80 million in order to do this. I think Disney's hoping and praying that at least the Russos can restore the magic, but I'm not sure even they can at this point.
Here's the scary statistics, and this is what we're going to do on tying this to the cinema industry, the theater biz. Take a look at this. It's out of Statista, and what it says is that total attendance for theaters was rather stagnant from 2013 to 2016. Then we had an explosion of attendance for AMC, and we think that you could extrapolate that easily to the rest of theaters, and you can see that 2017 through 2019, those were golden years. And largely that was driven by the MCU. Now, attendance has dropped back down to those pre-3-year levels, and 224 million attendance from for 2024. Let's see, that can't be right. I don't know. Anyway, we'll use the chart. We'll use the bars as perspective. But if you take a look at that for 2024, you can see that it's actually dropped from 2023. And if things happen the way that they could with Captain America: Brave New World, Snow White, Thunderbolts, etc., we could see this actually come in under 2022, which would be horrific. And at that point, given that theaters were absolutely shellacked by the pandemic, you could see a lot of theaters go under, I think, if 2025 performs poorly. So the question I would have for others on the panel, those of you who have not yet weighed in, and those of you who had, I'm just curious, do you think theaters can survive in a post-Marvel world?
Yes, but it requires getting back to basics. I think you almost have to do, you've got to get back to more indie films, smaller budgets, less big names attached, street level stuff. If you were going to do something like, say, a modern day version of the Cannonball Run, or something like the French thrillers, that had all the great car chases and intrigue and noir style pictures. I think if you had something with decent writing, that can get you back on track, because your budgets are going to be small. Your return on investment is going to be high. That's what you need to do to start rehabilitating the studios, and then get back into a mix of different type of films. Part of what's killed them is they wanted everything to be a blockbuster. And realistically, that cannot continue into perpetuity. You just can't. You've got to have a mix.
Heck, look at directors, like even some of the most beloved, actually bringing this full circle with the Russo brothers, even some of the most beloved directors out there, you look at their IMDb, they got a lot of stinkers out there. Groundbreaking movies do not happen overnight, and they don't happen as consistently as what you might think. We might look back in the 80s and 90s, it's like, oh, there were so many great movies from there. Let's not forget, though, the other half of them, there's a lot of films that you don't remember, and a lot of them have decent reasons.
You're actually highlighting a point that I've been trying to elucidate for a while, and that's the fact that as we come into the cinema over the next 2 years, I think we're going to have far fewer films. We've already experienced that. The last 3 months have been terrible, horrific. If you look at the total box office receipts, especially the last 3 weeks, there's really not a lot out there to offer. If it weren't for things like Captain, what do we call it? Falcon Anti-America, whatever you want to call that character. That thing flopped hard, and it was basically leading the box office until recently. The Mickey 17 is not exactly, burning up the screens right now. But when it comes into what the Russos are going to deliver, understand this. You're going to get Falcon Anti-America. You're going to get Moon Knight. Not exactly, ringing bells for anybody. You're going to get.
That was one of the scoops I've put on the Patreon.
Did you beat me to that?
I'm sorry,
dog.
Culture.
No, it's fine. You're going to get Kate Bishop. Okay,
Wait, hold on, Culture. Can you believe it? I thought Tatiana Maslany was done when she criticized Bob Iger. I thought she was done when the show flopped, and we're gonna put She-Hulk in this.
She went after Feige too, but I mean, you look at it and you got Kate Bishop, you got Kamala Khan. Nobody's seen this chick, right? Nobody cares about this chick. Miss Marvel, Billy Maximoff. Thanks for that. Thank you.
Really?
And I'm just saying, look, I mean, Miss Marvel didn't get probably a fair run, but to be fair, she was in the Marvels and it was god awful. So, and I'm just saying, you are going to get the new Avengers, characters you don't want in this doomsday bologna sausage. And again, the leader of the Avengers, I'm going to say it one more time, Falcon Anti-America is going to be the leader of the Avengers coming into doomsday. How you feel? You feel good about that?
Well, getting back to basics kind of thing. It's like, do you guys remember the stupid action movies from the 80s?
Yeah.
That were pure testosterone and absolutely
the good ones?
Yes.
The good old days.
That's what I'm talking about. If we got back to that kind of stuff, people would go crazy for it. The problem is, I don't know if there's a lot of talent for that anymore. It's like,
you don't need talent. You need muscles and dumbness and guns.
That's it.
Yeah,
and not to mention,
who fills that role today, though?
Well, okay, I'm not going to insult Kevin, but I would say Kevin. I mean, I can't like Kevin right now. I'd put Kevin in an action movie right now. Dude's like Billy D. Dude's Billy D-ing it up on the screen. I'm telling you right now.
If anybody wants to do a GoFundMe so I can remake Action Jackson, I'm all here.
Oh, I love it.
Action
Take my
Jackson.
money now. But let's also not remember here, guys. It's not just the actor these days, because they tried to make a dumb action movie. Was it Red Alert? What was the name of that movie with The Rock and Chris Evans around Christmas time? They wanted to do
Red Notice Red Robin.
It's making my point right now how forgettable that movie was. But they try to do these films, and then they do these crazy budgets, and they look at practical effects like it's the plague. They just want to take the lazy route. They just want to CGI everything, and that doesn't have the charm. Those older movies, half the movie was the actor, the other half was seeing real explosions.
Giant muscle guy versus, I don't know, alien invasion. I don't care.
Listen, look at Die Hard. It was average guy versus a bunch of guys with accents. People are pretty easy to please if stuff is blowing up. Just keep it fun
and the story makes sense. Like, hey, I went to a Christmas party in Nakatomi Plaza.
I think that's kind of the appeal of the John Wick franchise, right? And that's kind of why that's endured so long.
But instead, you're getting She-Hulk in an Avengers movie.
I am so mad at you, bro. I'm so mad at you.
By the way, this is a parody post. I don't know if it's a parody post, but it's somebody arguing for She-Hulk, and I guess they don't know what we're reporting. We reported it exclusively a week ago on the Patreon. By all indications now, we believe that She-Hulk is going to be in the Avengers movies coming up. And it's like, come on, guys.
She doth protest too much, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And honestly, if they were smart, they should have saved She-Hulk and rehabbed her with the Fantastic Four.
Oh well, okay, but Fantastic Four was like what we're getting is like
what we're getting is not going to be with John
3 or 4
Byrne and Lee Davis, but
and I'm going to tell you right now, if I see another thing with Pedro Pascal in it, I mean, this guy, he surviving on limited talent and what's the word for having a bunch of siblings who decided to identify as like tree elves or something? I mean, that's this guy. He's not he lacks something. Testosterone. That's what he lacks. And but he was good as the Viper. I will give him credit for that. He was also really great in the Netflix show about
Last
the
of Us?
cartels. Yeah, Narcos. He was really good in Narcos. Absent that, this guy, they're actually pimping this dude for a C.S. Lewis part. He's going to be in Narnia. I'm like, no. They're also
trying to suggest he was going to play C.S. Lewis in something.
No. But they're also pimping Daniel Craig for a Narnia part. I'm like, what are the parts these guys are going to play?
Culture. Now you make one like an 80s action movie, but it's about a pimp and he has to take on like an organization or something.
Listen, okay, we know, based on what Culture is telling us, that if Marvel fails, folks, there's going to be plenty of other failures that we can blame on the demise of the theater business. That's what he's telling us. And Narnia plus She-Hulk. That's what.
I think if you're a theater owner, you got to diversify, right? I think that's why maybe you get into the live sports game and have live sporting events hosted in theaters and so forth.
I worked in a private theater chain for a very long time, so I got to kind of see the ins and outs of it, and even got to go to one of like the theater owner conventions with them. I remember they hushed them up really quickly, but all the theater owners were really upset, at the boom of streaming, and then streaming, the same day release nonsense that we tried during COVID. And they were 110% correct in their predictions that there was going to be a massive trickle down effect. People on top of theaters kind of pricing themselves out of the average family's price range, because it is kind of ridiculous to 3 people will cost you almost $200 if you want to get food now. There is no rush now, because half the time it's going to be floating on for purchase on Amazon Prime within 3 weeks, 4 weeks, sometimes 2 if it's a dud. So there's no rush. There's no rush to get in there. And now, because they're kind of hemorrhaging revenue, now you've got 30 minutes of previews. Half of those previews are ads. And again, they're just kind of price gouging, because these movies aren't as profitable as we keep being told that they are, especially on the Disney end. I love that you guys talked about this the other day, because I've been screaming this for years. Disney is not being honest about their budgets, and it's fairly anybody who has taken a business 101 class can sit down and go, this movie did not make the amount of money you want to tell me it made. Especially when the theaters have to get their share. And theater goers also want variety. When was the last time you saw a memorable rom-com, a memorable comedy, frankly, a too brainy for it to be a hit sci-fi movie? A mystery with that wasn't a Kenneth Branagh movie. You have to get back to giving people the things that they want to see, and beating everybody over the head with 10 years of nonstop blockbuster. In wrestling, we call that hot shotting the territory. You gave it all away for entirely too long. You burned everybody out, and no one's in a rush to go. And frankly, the theaters are paying for the studio's bad behavior.
And that's the thing too. The set price for everything, regardless if it's a rom-com or if it's a big blockbuster, I think is another impediment, especially to Lauren's plan. Because I agree with Lauren's plan, but there has to be variable pricing on this stuff, because it's just not the same value a lot of times, I think. And I think people are willing to maybe take a risk on a movie if it's not going to cost them $20 a pop. That's the other thing too. And windowing practices, huge problem. That's why AMC is looking to extend it out to at least 60 days.
But wait, you're right there, because this is one of those weird things when you talk about windowing. They haven't demonstrated any discipline. They have all of their films coming out this summer, all in a giant chunk. Right now,
true.
There are 35, 34, 32 films in theaters right now, which means you have this giant amount of screens covered in something nobody's going to go see. And then you come up on the summer and you've got all these people that want to see things. But more importantly, and you brought this up, Kevin, they don't have FOMO anymore. They don't have FOMO anymore. Nobody's going to go see anything anymore, because first of all, you destroyed the window. The window that you're talking about has a period of time. That's a window. It was a window for a reason. You had a 60 or 90-day exploit. Then you had a limited release in whatever weird digital thing you wanted to try to do. Then you had it rolling out to the high-end cable channels, premium cable, we used to call it, with HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, whatever. And then you went to physical media, and then it made its way out into the world in various ways, like either cable channel or network or movie of the week or whatever it was. They eliminated 7 streams of revenue by doing what they're doing now. Hollywood undercut, cannibalized, you use the word you want to use, their whole funding stream. This mechanism doesn't work anymore. They can't make anybody care about these things that are coming out unless they are events, and they forgot how to do events. There are no events. The last event I went to was the Barbie movie, and that was, I don't know.
Okay, why am I not surprised the last event you went to was a Barbie movie? Culture. By the way, folks, if you want to get in, Culture, lean back forward again. Hang on a second. Lean back forward. No, we want to see that cap.
Oh, yeah,
Criticless. Folks, if you want to get over there and support letting people know which movies they need to go see, even as the industry is suffering, criticless.com. Lean forward one more time, Culture. Criticless.com. Get over there and bookmark it today. All right, folks, that is the story on Marvel and whether or not movie theaters may survive when it's over. As ever, folks, we endeavor to have a good time here on the Pro Channel, and I have to say that spending time with you, talking about things that truly matter, like the stories that shape our lives and our culture, well, it is the ride of a lifetime to steal from Bob Iger. And that's the only thing we'll steal from Bob because he has great security around his yacht. Folks, as we get ready to say goodbye, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, and stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment right on down below. Let us know your thoughts. We would love to hear from you. And folks, worry not, for more content is still on the way. 3 or 4 times a day. Let's do 4. I think that's better. And you know what? Don't forget that the Pro Show is live Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon Eastern. You can also join us for our friends on That Park Place, our partner program. We have a good time there too. Folks, until the next time we get the opportunity to have a good time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as ever, keep having fun.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.